What is going on, guys? My name is Ryan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit something different. I'm just going to be working on my Subaru, giving you an update on that. I decided to do something that I've been meaning to fix on my Forester XT, and it is going to be the PIAA fog lights. So I originally had them switched over to the grille area of my Forester, so I modified the original grille, cut it out, and put a different grille in there to give it a more open look, and blacked out the surround with some RAPTOR liner. But there's kind of a problem with this because I noticed last summer that my car was getting a little bit warmer for the water temperature. So it was on like a 90-some degree day and we were driving on the highway, and the reason what I was thinking, because I never did this before, I'm guessing the fog lights are blocking the airflow on the actual radiator itself. So when you're at cruising speeds on the highway and everything, this is when it would start to get a little bit above that medium level. So I'm just not gonna mess with it. I'm gonna return it to what I normally had it when I bought it. So the original owner had the lights set up on the license plate area, and I just didn't really like the look of this, but I'm gonna have to go back to that route, and I'm just gonna modify it a little bit by putting some RAPTOR liner on the bracket and also the surrounds of the PIAA lights themselves. So here's what it looks like now on how I mounted these up. They're just held in by a couple of zip ties and a little bracket on the back that I made. This isn't the original grille. I made this myself, and I put some RAPTOR liner around the edge of that. So you can see it's about 25-ish% airflow block on the radiator itself. So these are pretty big. Here's what the original owner had on it. Just this cheap MIC tuning brace, so made out of aluminum, it feels like. And they also drilled a lot. Another reason why I'm doing this was because they drilled so many holes. I'm sick of looking at the holes, so I'm just gonna replace it back on like how they had it, and paint this up with the RAPTOR liner just to give it a kind of cool look. I'm also gonna be painting the surrounds with RAPTOR liner as well. So let me remove these lights how I have them now, and I'll start prepping these for the paint for the RAPTOR liner. So I had this on the shelf here in my garage for the longest time, so I'm going to use it because it's with the activator on the bottom. There's a shelf life on it, and I want to use it before I throw it out or have to throw it out or just waste my money on it. So the shelf life isn't forever on these, and I think it says a date on here of 2018. So decided to use this, clean up that old brace. I'll be painting with the RAPTOR liner, and as well as these surrounds that go over top of the fog lights. Also going to be using this gloss white. I'll be painting this white first where the PIAA is, just to fix this up because it's looking a little ratty looking. All this stuff I'm scuffing with a red Scotch-Brite. It's basically like sandpaper, but you're able to get in the grooves better. So you're not going to be struggling, getting in here with the sandpaper. Step one, before you do any sanding at all, you want to clean this off really well. Anything that you're painting, make sure you clean it off. I use some Purple Power degreaser, and I already did it here, but used that on this, scrubbed it with a brush, and then I also used some Dawn dish soap as well on here. And then now I'm ready for sanding with a scuff pad, just because you don't want any reactions. This stuff is pretty forgiving, but you don't want any reactions in general with painting stuff, just because all the grease and other things over time that's embedded in this, you lift it off before you sand it into the panel. Now these little chips right here, make sure you sand those out and feather it like how that is. I'm using sandpaper for this part, so if you do have any chips that's starting to peel away, you want to make sure you use something. This is 220 grit that I had laying around. Make sure you just sand it flat. Now, I'm not really paying attention to the grit of the sandpaper. This could be a little bit rougher if I was using some other sort of paint, this would definitely show sand marks in it, but just because this Raptor liner hides a lot of scratches, I don't care if I go down to a lower grit sandpaper that actually scratches the surface a little bit more. So, but if I was normally painting something normally, I would go all the way up to say, 400 to 600 grit, and then I'll be using the scuff pad for the rest of this. Sand just enough so it's a uniform dull appearance. That means that, so see the black compared to the uniform dull, that means it's scuffed correctly and ready for paint. I'm just using sheet metal screws just because it's already drilled into the bumper. The bumper's already messed up. Eventually going to be replacing the bumper anyway and painting it and all that stuff, but I don't care what it looks like now. I'm just covering it up and just attaching it with those sheet metal screws, but I am painting those screws. Next step, we definitely want to make sure we wash these off again, make sure they fully dry. I would normally be using just 90 whatever percent rubbing alcohol, but of course I don't have that because of what's going on. So I'm just gonna have to wash them again in just some Dawn dish soap, some water, let them dry, and then we'll be ready to shoot everything here. Now just quickly going over this Raptor liner, you have to puncture this bottom section here. It's a two-part, has an activator to it. So make sure you're ready to use this and everything is prepped, because once you puncture this, it's gonna start to harden. And they tell you to spray at least 24 inches apart. Also, make sure to wear a mask with this. I know it's annoying throwing a mask on, but this stuff is nasty. If it gets into your lungs, it'll definitely coat it. Pretty harmful carcinogens, so you don't want to mess around with this stuff. I painted this. It's the next day now. Let this sit overnight. Anywhere the tape's going to be staying, that's going to be where the white's going to be. So I'll be painting all around this, and then I'll be peeling that off. So I want to make sure I really get underneath everything on the sides. So I'm going to start to prep this. All you got to do is just puncture this bottom. They give you a cap, but you have an hour working time with this Raptor liner in the can. So you just want to make sure you get, I'm going to be spraying as far back as I feel like it's necessary. So I'll probably be about 2.5 feet, maybe 2 feet away from the panel. And that'll give it a nice consistent and even coat. I'll be doing 2 coats as long as I have enough of this stuff on everything. And then I'll start getting ready to install everything. So I'm just going to shake this up a couple minutes before I puncture it. And then I'll puncture it and shake it up another minute or 2. first coat doesn't look as good as the second coat. So I'm gonna let this sit 20 minutes and then I'm gonna come back and hit it with what's called a drop coat. So this is just an even further distance, real quick bursts, almost like you want the paint to dry a little bit before it hits it. And just do that 1 second coat and it should even out everything and the texture should really come out on the second coat. So this has had a 20-minute flash time, meaning just to wait 20 minutes, and then now I'll put this the second and final coat on. After this second drop coat that I did, which was the final coat, I am completely out of this Raptor liner. So this stuff goes really fast. Sprays really nice out of this can. I really love the design of the can, how pressurized it is and everything, but it just goes way too fast. Now, if you're taping something off and have to remove the tape, you could either wait fully until this cures and dries, but what I like to do, as long as you're careful, I'll use an X-Acto knife and I'll peel this back when it's still a little tacky. So that way there's no risk of peeling any paint when it's fully cured. Now, if you're picky like I am, I got a little bit of bleed through right on these edges right here. All you have to do is just get a touch-up brush, spray some of your paint on that you used on the center section here like I did, or whatever you're using on your project, and then just touch it up with a brush. Alright guys, I'm ready to finally install this. Like I said, I'm using these 4 holes. These are already drilled. I'm going to use them with just a little bit bigger screws. So cover this up. I also put the emblem back on. I know it's damaged a little bit. I'll be getting just an overlay to throw on that. But I think it's going to tie it in pretty well with all the Raptor liner that I have right here. And I also Raptor lined a long time ago this back portion, which is held up actually really well. Alright guys, that is going to do it for today's episode. So I just want to do a little bit something different this week's episode. I'm going to be still working on the Z. It's just taking me a little bit longer to film everything and do this particular part of the quarter panel. So I figured I'm going to start trying to do a little bit of a side series with all these other vehicles that I have on top of my main build series with the 240Z. So let me know what you guys thought of this. I personally think it looks pretty good for what I had laying around. I also took it out on a drive already on the highway. I immediately noticed a difference on my Cobb Accessport that I monitor for the coolant temp. It is a consistent 10 degrees difference, so those were definitely blocking the airflow. So I can only imagine when it starts to get warmer out from the summertime, it's definitely going to benefit me. So that was the main reason why that I switched that from the grill. It did look pretty clean in the grill in my opinion, but I also like the rugged look of this. But the main thing was just more of function over form for this. I still have the capability to use those lights, obviously, and as well as increase my cooling temperatures to where it should have been. Hope you guys enjoyed something different here. If you have any other suggestions or anything like that, leave me a comment below. And as always, have a good rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one with the 240Z build.